Have you ever wondered why music in the modern church just seems to suck? And is there anything we can do about it? Hi, this is the Don Speaks, and I wanted to look at that because I have some music training. I've got my bachelor's and my master's in music education. I even taught for a small period. And I've been in church for 30 years, and I've noticed that music has changed since I was a boy and then a teenager, and then on we go. Seems like our impetus on music changed, and I want to talk about that. Why is it so hard to sing? I mean, have you ever sit in church and they announce a song and A, you don't know it. B, when they're doing it, it's really peppy and spry, and then they go up real high and bang around, then they go real low and they're jumping all around. And I felt bad because I've looked around and seen people just fighting through it, especially old people. And it really makes me feel bad. But then again, you have churches that just drag you through the hymns. It seems like they'll find the oldest and the most dusty hymn and drag you through with an organ. What's the problem? I wanted to go back and talk about that. A little bit of background again. Having been in the church, in choirs, led a little bit in church music. But I remember one time in a church in Idaho, my wife and I were sitting there, and this was like 25 years ago. We had young rugrats at the time, and we're going to this big church. And I'm standing there holding my two boys, being the dutiful dad. We're going to take the family to church. And it's like the seventh song, and they're up there bebopping around. And okay, we've been standing here for like almost 15, 20 minutes, and I heard these two old ladies in front of me. They were sitting there, and one of them goes, "I wish he'd let us sit down." And I thought, well, ladies, why don't you just sit down? Then I wondered, why don't I sit down? And I looked around, and everybody's standing, and I realized that one of the biggest sins in the church is not pornography or adultery. It's disobeying what the leader says. We have been taught kind of, okay, when they say stand, we stand. When they say sit, we sit. I will sit sometimes if it's not a song I know or if it's not a song I like, And I've had people talk to me about, well, you're destroying the ambiance. It's almost like worship in the modern Christian church is almost like Tai Chi. We all have to be doing the same thing, or we're into ourselves. It's Zen, it's Buddhism. I'm singing to God. Been in some churches to where they don't emote at all because you're worshiping, and there's this worship going on. I always wondered why we had one I went to, and it seemed like the girls just had no energy whatsoever. But they wanted it that way. It surprised my brain that you actually were just going to worship God, and they're singing their songs. Where's the exuberance? But I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, but there's another problem, another level down I wanted to get to. And this is very interesting. I was going to bring this up. That I like listening to old 80s music. And one of my favorites is, of course, Steve Tyler. I listen to Aerosmith. Can you imagine I was listening to a song, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing, if you heard it from the movie Armageddon. I don't want to miss a thing, kind of thing. It's a good song. And I like that song. But it's not for group singing. See, there's two types of music. There's the type that you can sing and the type you want to hear. And I like listening to Steven Tyler. I can listen to Steven Tyler all day long, I was going to play a little bit. Sometimes I like to sing Steven when I'm in my car, but can you imagine in the church? Let's all sing. Everybody stand up. Everybody, 1, 2, 3. I don't want to close my eyes. I don't want to fall asleep because I miss you, babe. Oh, this is terrible. I'm not Steve Tyler. I'll tell you, I'm not. But if you sat in church and felt that way, that you're not whatever they're trying to sing, and I was going to play another one, but I won't. I like listening to Journey, You got just a city boy, born and raised in South Detroit. Come on. I'm not Steve Perry either, but I like listening to these guys. Why? Why are we doing this? Why are we dragging people through these songs that sound great, but you can't sing them in a congregation of singing? So that's going to be the problem. But I want to step into a more pedagogical thing, and instead of just always throwing rocks. One thing I learned in music school and in my vocal lessons, and you may say you need more vocal lessons. Just kidding. Maybe you do. But this singing thing is a machine. God manufactured the body. It's also a musical instrument, just like a piano. So the idea is this thing works like a machine. I was thinking about, I'm going to use the old rugged cross as an example. When the old rugged cross was written, it seems to me that it was written where a guy was writing, "On a hill far away stood an old rugged cross, an emblem of suffering and shame." And he writes this down. Now, if you notice that when we speak in tones. On a hill. When I say hill, it's always down. I don't go hill. I say, have you seen that hill? Hill. Down here, hill. On a hill far away. Way is always middle. Hill is always lower than way. I mean, if you're talking about, there's a hill over there and it's far away. Hill was down here. I mean, our musical tones match our speaking tones. So maybe he sat down and wrote, "On a hill far away stood an old rugged cross." Then he was, "On a hill far away stood an old rugged cross." See, the tones are going to match the words. The emblem of suffering and shame. Now, one thing I've noticed there, the word shame, shame, shame. If I say shame, that's a shame. It's always down here. But if I say emblem, emblem is up here. It's like this mechanism that God created will go, and I'll use, on a hill far away stood an old is always down here, old rugged cross. You can almost see how we are almost like I was thinking of, I like that violoncello would be perfect, that kind of thing, but a clarinet. On a hill far away stood an old rugged cross, the emblem of suffering and shame is a good one. Shame. Shame is always down. If I say the word, that's a shame. 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 It's always down. It's never down. That's a shame. It doesn't work. There's some songs that I really like. I was thinking of El Shaddai was written in the 80s. El Shaddai, El Shaddai, El Elkanah Adonai. Age to age we're still the same by the power of his name. Da 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 da. It's not just a beautiful melody. It fits the words. Because if you say, El Shaddai, El Shaddai. Look at this and that. El Shaddai, El Shaddai. El Elkanah Adonai. Age to age, we're still the same. So you get the idea that pedagogically, ba da 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 da. There's another one I was thinking of that I really liked is "Awesome God" by Rich Mullins. You see, our God is an awesome God. I'm changed the key. Sorry. Reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Love, our God is an awesome God. Da 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 da. See, it matches the pedagogical with the words. The point I'm trying to make is a lot of this modern music that you hear on the radio is written for hearing. It's not written for singing. And our ministers of music need to grasp that concept. It doesn't fit the pedagogy. It's great. Like I said, I'll listen to Steve Perry. I'll listen to Aerosmith. I got a bunch of other things I listen to that you don't want to hear me sing. And yet, we have these wonderful songs that fit the pedagogy. Like I said, on a hill far away stood an old rugged cross. Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste. Everyone, that's why they yell "for" when you're golfing, because it's foretaste of glory divine. Look at the word divine. Divine, da 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 da. Divine, same tone. We don't go divine. I'm kind of pushing that a little bit. But when you can tune the lyrics to the words, and then the words to a lyricism from the words, and kind of create that. The problem with all modern music is, of course, everybody wants to make a buck. Everybody wants to get that thing that gets in your ear that you listen to, and you put on your Spotify list, you put on your YouTube list, and it sounds good, and you like it. But I bet you can't sing it. I bet you if you get 40 old ladies in a room, you can't sing it. Most of our churches, the average age in the church is like 35 and up, and you've got them singing these doo-wop ditty songs that ministers of music listen to on the radio. I found out, and I have some teenage kids, they don't listen to the radio. They go to Spotify, and they'll have their favorite songs based upon their friends, and they'll listen to songs and share songs. They'll make a very unique playlist and share it among others. And so, unless a minister of music is really tuned in to what they're listening to, which they probably aren't, you're just guessing. And it's almost check a box. Okay, we have to have our hymn. We have to have our new song. We've got to have our peppy song. And now we're going to do another hymn because we want to make people happy. I'm all for making people happy. I'm just saying that if we're not going to match the tonality, there's something I wanted to do real quick, which I thought was very fascinating. And I'm not sure this will work, but I'm going to try it anyway. I was thinking about Psalms 23. You know, very popular. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And so, but I got to thinking about my idea. I'm looking at my phone here, getting something up. My idea that David, it seems to me, now we have to realize also something very similar. Something I was going to say is, we have been in Western music also for the last 300 to 400 years. We're used to major scale or the minor. Well, in music school, we learn about other ones like Dorian, which is D to D with no F sharp or C sharp. Or you have the Mixolydian from G to G with no F sharp. You do an F natural, you lose that half step. And these different modes are there. You know, you don't get that F sharp. The idea that they have these different modes, Dorian mode, Mixolydian, Lydian, Phrygian. How did David sing it? You know, we're going back, you know, over 2,500 years. And I think that he would grasp the words. And the words reveal the type of music. For example, I've been listening to some ethnic Jewish music. Pull this up again if it came off. And some of it's very peppy, and that's fine, you know, and I don't want to insult anyone. I'm not, you know, a musicologist, an ethnic musicologist. Just listen to that kind of peppy. But sometimes also it's a little bit more mournful and a little bit more, I'd say, sweet, more lyrical. So David writing, and I'm speculating here, writing the 23rd Psalm. And I'm thinking, and one thing David did that I wish we did, he only sang for God and the sheep. He wasn't trying to make a YouTube channel. He wasn't trying to put something into a mixing board and say, okay, now how can we make this and kind of make it to where people will want to hear it, and we're going to beat out all these other songs, and we're going to go to #1 on the charts. Because that's what music production kind of is. Sometimes it's not about revealing the art so much as it's getting something kind of peppy and new that people will want to listen to. You know, it's kind of breakfast cereal versus eggs and bacon. You know, it's a different kind of thing. But I went back to look at the 23rd Psalm, but I went into the Hebrew, and I'm terrible with Hebrew, so I apologize to anyone with Hebrew listening. Jehovah Ra, Lo Hared, Hayadesa Rabbah. You know, that's Lord, my shepherd, I shall not want. But if you look at the words, Jehovah Ra, Lo Hared. Again, remember the tonality. Jehovah Ra, Ra is up, Lo Hared. Hared is going to be wrong. Ha-deser Rabbah, Mayim Menuhu Nahal. Now the last one, Nahal, is always going to be da-da. You know, so I was listening to, let me bring this up again for the third time. I was listening to this and I thought it was interesting. See if I can play a little bit. Sorry, it's got a commercial playing. Let me get that commercial done. I had it all primed up, and then all of a sudden everything kind of went. Creates the mood. A very beautiful song. I could play the whole thing, but I could just see David maybe going, Yehovah Elohad Hadeser Rabbah Mayim Menuhu Nahal. I mean, you could almost hear that kind of da 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 da, and he probably laying there with the sheep. There's a word in here in the 23rd Psalm where he goes, "He maketh me lie down in green pastures." How do you make sheep lay down? Well, you make sheep lay down by laying down. So you can see him. He finds a place that's green. He lays down. He's even laying maybe on his back and da 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 da, singing the 23rd song in Hebrew, and the sheep are laying down. And of course, it's going to be tonalities that make sheep want to lay down. And all sheep are like, "Hey, this sounds good. I think I'll lay down." You know, the idea that using the words to work with the pedagogy instead of creating words for a YouTube and then people are fighting through their pedagogy, and I think that's why we don't like it. It wasn't made for us. And I'm also going to say my biggest problem is the girl with the guitar songs. If someone wrote, "Blessed Assurance, Jesus is Mine," that's a guy that went through a time when he had to hold on for assurance. Jesus is mine. It sounds like he went through a hard time and he's like, "Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine." That's somebody who went through something. A lot of these girl with guitar songs and these guys with synthesizer songs, what have they gone through? They're 19 in America, for gosh sakes. They probably haven't missed a meal ever in their life. And you have people that have all these things going on. And so what happens is connecting the pedagogy with the words. So let me see if there's anything here in conclusion. I'm really looking for men and women, if you're going to be leading in music, to be ministers with music, not just ministers of music. You're ministering with the music. I'm going to close with a story that's very dear to me. Is my minister of music when I was a teenager was a guy named Norman Gooding. I love this guy. But what he did, and we had like 300 people in our church, it seemed like Norman paid attention to what songs we liked. And he kind of went, "They like that one." And he kind of put that one away. Or maybe he put a check on it or something. And if he tried a new song and it didn't fly, "Well, I don't really like that one." Okay, put that one to the side. After a while, picking the songs, you would always be singing your favorite songs, maybe a new one here and there. I know some ministers of music that will go and we have to have a new song every week or a new song a month, and you're just like, "Do we got it? Can I please sit down?" By the way, you sing just as well sitting down. I'm sitting right now. As long as this machine is up, you don't see people playing the clarinet standing up unless you're in a marching band, but if you're playing something orchestral, you're going to be sitting down. Some of these songs sound best sit down, just put your back straight. And so that's the idea. But Norman, it just seemed like that he understood what we liked and gave it to us. And it's just wonderful. Last place I'll go is I hear a lot of pastors saying, "Well, I try to put cookies on every shelf." Don't put cookies on every shelf. The secret to this is sing with 10 people and let the other 9,990 sing along. If you sing with 10 people and let the others not sing along, they'll usually sing along. But if you try to sing and please, that many people, it's not going to happen. So anyway, that's my thoughts on why music is bad in the church, why we don't want to sing, and what we can do to make it better. So those are just my thoughts.